how do I get rid of imposter syndrome? Something that's pretty common and you can struggle with in a lot of different environments. It can be frustrating to get over it. My name's Chris Richardson. I'm a coach here at Life on Your Terms, and we make these videos here so you can do exactly that. You can live a life on your terms. So how do I get over imposter syndrome? It is something difficult to get over, like I said, and today I'm gonna go over defining imposter syndrome itself, my experience with it, and what I did to kind of get over it, and then how to get over it, and kind of some general ideas related to it. I want to preface that answering this question in this 6 to 10 minute video is difficult to do, but I think I can give you some helpful pointers to start your journey to get over imposter syndrome. And again, it's not going to be an instant fix, but it's something you can start working towards and feel a lot better about. So, defining imposter syndrome. What is it? A lot of people say it, and I see it as it's where we feel like a fraud even if we are successful in a certain area. It can be as something as you feel like an imposter in the gym, like you don't belong there. Or maybe it's in your job or your role, a new job. Usually it's where it happens. Or you get a promotion, then you feel like an imposter because you're a manager now or something like that. It's where you have an identity and maybe you don't feel like you deserve it, or you feel like you're capable of it and you feel like an imposter in that area. So that's how I see imposter syndrome. And some common feelings that come with imposter syndrome are doubt, fear of failure, and that your accomplishments are undervalued. And we don't want that. We want to feel good about where we're at, feel confident in our role. So the goal is to get over that. And one helpful thing you can do when you're kind of defining your imposter syndrome, because I think it's important for all of us to look at what does my imposter syndrome look like, and then that'll help you get over it because it's kind of specific to each person. And so a helpful thing is to track your feelings. Are you feeling doubt? Are you feeling a lot of fear of failure? Are you not feeling as good about your accomplishments? Because I think with each of those, then you can figure out how you want to tackle that issue. So where do you feel the imposter syndrome, or where do you not feel it? There's different situations where you may find yourself feeling more like an imposter than others. Maybe it's when you lead a meeting, you feel like an imposter. Or maybe it's when you're doing just a certain set of work. So it's important to define where you feel it, because then you can start tracking it better. And I think tracking it is how you get over it, or one way, and at least in my experience. So another helpful question that you can ask when you feel like you're feeling imposter syndrome is, what am I telling myself about myself in these situations? So again, what are you telling yourself about yourself in these situations? So what talk is going through your head, and then start tracking that. And actually it can be helpful to write it down. I'm telling myself that I'm not good enough, or I'm telling myself that my accomplishments don't have me here. And then you can start to figure out how to overcome that. So now I'm going to transition into my experience with it. So I really felt like an imposter when I first started coaching, when I was in a mastermind group in the gym at first. So I'm gonna start with the gym because the gym's my basis for everything. My first almost year in the gym, I really felt like an imposter. I was like, I don't feel like I belong here. I don't know what I'm doing. Any new machine I tried, I was like, I am not confident in using this stuff. And I really felt like I didn't belong. I didn't know what was going on, even though I had made massive progress. And the way I got over the gym one is I just kept showing up, and I kept trying new things and trying to keep pushing the weight and stuff like that and get stronger and stronger. And I know that's a simple view, but that's when I was starting. It's just a simple one. So next, I started to feel like an imposter as a coach. Once I started coaching people, I really felt like an imposter, and that's probably normal because I am, in a sense, an imposter. So that's one reframe that helps me is, you've never done it before, so it's reasonable for you to feel these feelings. We just want to get over them, and it may push you to get better. At least it did with me. It was like, okay, I feel this way with coaching, so I need to learn more as a coach and just practice more and realize I'm not going to be very good right now, but that's okay because I can get better. So that's what I did. As a coach, I just started trying to get more at-bats and get better and better, and that helped me get my imposter syndrome in that area. Now, I was in a mastermind group with a bunch of coaches. I was the youngest person there by probably 15 years, so it was very natural for me to feel like an imposter. And I was the newest coach. So that's another thing where it's very reasonable for me to feel like an imposter, And what I did in that situation to get over that is I started just participating more. Even if I felt like my ideas might have not been the best, I just started participating, and I got over that quicker. And I felt way more comfortable in the group once I started participating. And what I learned is that confidence comes from competence. So when you are in the know, you feel a lot more confident. And I think that's where a lot of imposter syndrome comes from. It's the fear of the unknown, and you don't know what's gonna happen because you're not used to these situations, and you just need to try to get in the know, and it just takes reps. That's what I would say. That is one thing that helped me. Now, another thing that helped me a lot to kind of not worry about participating more and getting the reps was my perfectionist reframe. And what I did is, it's simple, but it is difficult to do, is in the past, if I were to get, let's say in school, I were to get a 99 out of 100 on the test, I was always so concerned about the 1% I missed. I was never happy with the 99. And I was only happy when I got the 100. And I really wasn't that happy because I would just move on to the next test. So what I had to start doing, and this was not just at school, but this had to apply to my whole life, was instead of focusing on what I'm doing wrong, instead of focusing on the gap from where I'm at to perfect, I had to focus on what I was doing right. So, like I said, instead of focusing on the 1% I missed, focused on the 99 I got right. Now, that doesn't mean you stop looking at where you have done wrong, and it's important to reflect on where you're messing up. But it's also very important and crucial for you to look at what are you doing right, because I bet you're doing a lot of things right. So look at what you're doing right, and then look at what you're doing wrong, and feel good about what you're doing right. And that was the perfectionist reframe that I had to do, and that helped me in my experience. Maybe it'll help you too. So that moves me to my next point, is how to get over it. And again, this is a very high level, like general overview of how to get over it, because everybody is gonna be unique. And maybe you feel like you're struggling with this, and that's where I would encourage you to take the balance wheel in the description below. Because we're not just gonna look at professional area. Maybe that's where you feel like an imposter, but maybe you feel like an imposter in your family, in your relationships, in your resources, or in your health. And you can go around and look at the balance wheel and look at where do you wanna improve next. So, to get over it, like I said, I would challenge that perfectionism. Is that where you feel like you're struggling? And I think that's where you ought to see the accomplishments are undervalued and the doubt in yourself, because you're not looking at what you're doing right. You're only looking at what you're doing wrong. And I think that's where a lot of that stuff comes from. Start to look at what you're doing right. Another thing that I think could be very helpful is shift from an outcome-based to a process-based. So let's say, for example, you feel like an imposter in a meeting. And in that sense, I would shift from, instead of thinking that the meeting went really well or you get a compliment, that's like an outcome thing. Like, oh, I want to get a compliment for how well I did, or whatever you measure the metric on the outcome. Focus on your process. You know, I prepared for 2 hours for this meeting. I did this, things that you could completely control. So for me as a coach, for example, it was, instead of having a great session with a client where the client compliments me and they're super happy about the outcome, I'm like, I'm gonna put learning hours in to be a better coach. I'm gonna show up early so I'm prepared. I'm gonna refresh on this person's thing, and it's all process. It's all about, did I do the process? Because then my measuring stick changes. It changes from, did I do this and did this turn out how I want it to be, which is sometimes out of our control, to did I do the process? And did I execute on this process? Because I can measure that every time. And then it changes my value system from an outcome value to a process value. So I value, what did I do? And did I do the process right? Instead of, did this turn out how I wanted to do? And that's been helpful for me, at least. Another thing is get support from family, friends, and mentors. I just had to get it out there. With that mastermind I was in, I just told my mentor that, yeah, man, I don't feel like I belong here. Like, I don't feel good about this. And we just kind of talked through it. And that was very helpful for me. So I think talking about it can be helpful. Get it out there. Why do you feel like an imposter? And then another thing, I think the final thing I'll touch on, set goals to build confidence, and set process-based goals to build confidence. So if you want to build up confidence, whatever area you're in, set process-based goals so that you get the confidence from the competence and the work you're going to put in. I felt like it helped me a lot. And then another thing you can do is the best friend reframe. Instead of being a perfectionist and being so difficult on yourself, think about, if my best friend was in this situation, what would I say? And if your best friend was in this situation, you'd probably challenge them and challenge their pitfalls, but you'd also give them the praise about their accomplishments. And sometimes taking that reframe and putting it on yourself can be very helpful as well. So today we talked about how to get rid of imposter syndrome. It's not something you're gonna fix in 10 minutes, but hopefully this was helpful and you can start applying some of this stuff so you can go get over it too.